While everyone's asleep at night, Lloyd stays awake all by himself for guard duty. He doesn't have a phone to scroll through YouTube shorts, so he winds up thinking about dumb stuff like how weak he is and that he should improve his skills to not let down his new humble and kind teammates. He then thinks about his party's earlier encounter with demon spiders, and he can't help but notice that those spiders' behavior wasn't quite normal. The entire swarm of those spiders was moving in a specific direction, as if there was someone controlling them. In any case, Lloyd thinks that he should be more careful from now on so that if something does happen, he can avert any incoming crisis. Both Yui and Silica are having trouble sleeping, so they get out of their tents and seeing Lloyd awake. They ask if he is intending to stay awake alone all night. Lloyd nods, stating that this is indeed his plan. Hearing that, Yui worries for him, revealing that he's been doing so for the past couple of days. And at this rate, he will end up suffering from sleep deprivation. That is why she proposes that they take turns from now on. But Lloyd refuses to do that, claiming he's completely fine. Also, he doesn't want any of his teammates to lose stamina because in case of any emergencies, he believes only they are going to be useful. Besides, Lloyd claims that he stayed awake at night like this all his life, so he's used to it and tells Yui that since he's useless in all other stuff, this is the least he can do for them. Yui is sick of this self-aware guy. And so, she shouts at him, telling him that he's totally wrong. But before she can argue more, Silica stops her, knowing there's no point trying to educate someone who doesn't have a brain. They go back to their tents, telling Lloyd again that if he ever feels tired, he should let them know. Daggers and Cross also eavesdropped on this entire conversation from their tent, and they too worry that Lloyd's zero confidence will bring him trouble in the future. The next day they go out for adventuring and Lloyd scans the surrounding area using detection magic and confirms there aren't any monsters nearby. Yui is shocked to learn Lloyd knows this kind of magic, but Lloyd claims it's nothing special at all. Yui feels bad because Lloyd has been doing all the work himself, but she doesn't bother trying to tell him to go easy on himself because she knows he's too dumb to realize how much work he's putting in. Later at night, Lloyd is on guard duty again, and Yui can't help but wonder if Lloyd is doing all the work himself because perhaps he doesn't trust his teammates' abilities. This is a complete misunderstanding. But because there hasn't been any clear communication between them, this misunderstanding won't be cleared anytime soon. Silica, being more mature and smart, helps Yui understand that Lloyd must be overdoing it only because he wants to prove himself to them. This is the exact part Yui doesn't understand. Lloyd should already know that he's good enough to be on their team, and she suspects that he lived a life where he didn't think of himself as someone special. Speaking of which, she wonders what kind of life Lloyd has led under his mysterious master. And Silica believes that Lloyd will share that story with them one day in the future. Back outside, Daggers approaches Lloyd, telling him that he needs his help with something. Lloyd states that he needs to stay for night watch, but that's when Cross comes as well, saying that he will do it in his place. So Lloyd goes with Daggers, and Cross, who's left behind, hopes that whatever he and Daggers planned is going to work. Daggers takes Lloyd somewhere in the distance, revealing that he's made an alarm system that will ring when monsters enter the area. Daggers believes this alarm should be a good enough safety measure. So, he tells Lloyd that he doesn't need to stay awake at night anymore. Daggers states that before Lloyd joined them, they used this system to handle night watch. But still, Lloyd wants to stay awake, telling Daggers that if he sleeps, his detection magic won't stay active. As he keeps arguing, Daggers has no other choice but to confront Lloyd, asking him if he doesn't trust his teammates' abilities. Lloyd is shocked that his teammates think something like that, and Daggers explains that Lloyd never lets them help him, so it's natural for them to assume something like that. Lloyd doesn't want to share his past experiences with other people who made him think he's useless. So, he only tells Daggers that he's only giving it his all so that he doesn't hold any one of them back. Daggers in reply tells Lloyd that he should go ahead and hold them back because that is part of teamwork. In a team, a single member is supposed to have weaknesses and that member should rely on their companions to cover for those weaknesses. Lloyd has never considered relying on anyone before. And now that he understands that, he goes back to the campsite with Daggers and goes to sleep with a smile on his face. The next morning, he deliberately asks Yui to help him fetch water, and she is overjoyed to see that this idiot sandwich is finally opening up to his teammates. While they are working together, The rest of the group watches them and are glad as well. Somewhere else, a cloaked mystery man reports to his leader, Master Michel, living in a castle surrounded by a swamp forest, that he has deployed all of the magic stones at the given location. Once Michel confirms that no high-ranking adventurers are nearby and are away on other quests, his only worry is the heroes team, who still remains in the area. Hoping that the heroes team won't interfere in his schemes, he tells his subordinate to go inform their client that the time has come to achieve their goal. Going back to Lloyd's party, they are once again exploring the forest when Yui notices something strange. The others also notice how unusually quiet this entire area is. And Lloyd steps up using his detection magic, discovering that there's a monster horde a few miles to their north, exactly where the farm is. Yui is still stuck on the part where Lloyd revealed that he detected monsters a few kilometers away, and can't believe he is this overpowered. But Lloyd, as always, claims that it's nothing special. This time, however, Silica can't help but reveal to him that his detection range is 10 times more than the average person in this world, shocking Lloyd. Still, Bro tries to defend himself, saying that he is a weakling. There's no point in debating with a brain-dead idiot. So, the group moves forward and heads to the place where Lloyd detected the monsters. It's the same farm they have to protect, according to the Guild Commission, and they can't believe the sheer number of monsters that are gathered there. They are there and they can see the monsters. To the others, the issue is just the monsters. But to Lloyd, he's seeing something different. He comments that something is strange. And Yui, who assumes he's talking about the monsters, tells him she feels it, too. But he's referring to something else entirely. His detection magic could only pick up monsters that were in this area alone. It's as if the other monsters he had been able to detect earlier were nearby, but aren't there at the moment. His party members consider what he said. Indeed, they have never seen a gathering of this many high wolves before, and to make it worse, they feel uneasy about what's happening there. Lloyd asks about the owner of the farm, and Yui informs him that he was injured by the high wolves and is currently at his son's place in the city for treatment. This is bad news to Lloyd because if something weird is indeed happening in that place, the best person they could ask, someone who would know how it all started, is the farmer. As they all look at the farm, Cross catches sight of something shiny. Maybe it's because he's an archer and has very sharp vision. His colleagues can't see what he's talking about. He points it out to them, but there's no hope of them seeing it. Lloyd casts an enhancement magic for his eye to see far. And finally, Lloyd sees what Cross is referring to. He tells them about the magic and asks if he can cast it for them. When they agree, he casts the magic on them. And now they can all see the black crystal shining in the middle of the farm. It looks like all the monsters are surrounding the magic, but they still can't confirm what exactly it is. Yui complains that she feels really uneasy about the black mist coming out of the magic and what it might mean. Lloyd suggests it could be orc magic. Since they don't know much about orc magic, he explains that it's a kind of spell used to control and gather monsters in a particular place. The question now is who could have cast such a spell on that farm and for what purpose? They wonder if someone is trying to kill them, but they aren't even important enough for anyone to go that far. To know the extent of the monster presence, Lloyd casts his detection magic again and sees that several other monsters are heading toward the location. It's like a monster assembly and not just high wolves anymore, but several other creatures. They can't possibly fight all of them alone. Cross suggests they retreat, but Yui refuses. She doesn't want to risk the entire farm getting destroyed by running away. At the same time, she knows she can't defeat all the monsters by herself. Dagger reminds them that the monsters are almost there, and if they try to leave now, they'll just get attacked. And during the fight, they might drag the neighboring village into the mess. Their only option is to fight, and it's not even a choice at this point. Lloyd tells them he has a plan and that they can win. He asks Cross if he can break the crystal with his arrow, but Cross says the orc is too far away. He can aim for it, but he doubts he can break it. Still, they decide to give it a try. He asks Cross to ready his bow and then casts enhancement magic on Cross to ensure he can break the orc's crystal. When Cross releases the arrow, something strange happens. It shoots straight at the target and shatters it. Even Cross is surprised. He knows his arrow shouldn't be able to do that. He asks Lloyd what he did, and Lloyd reveals that he cast enhancement magic on Cross, his bow, and his arrow. Cross is shocked that Lloyd can do that. But as always, Lloyd downplays it and insists it wasn't a big deal. He says Cross only succeeded because of his precision. By the time they turn back to the High Wolves, the wolves are already attacking each other. The others are shocked, but not Lloyd. He expected that to happen once the magic stone was broken. However, he also expected the destruction of the stone to be enough to send away the approaching monsters, but it's not. The other monsters are already almost there. As they arrive, the group realizes just how serious the situation is. There are so many monsters. The plan now is for Silica to attack them. Silica stays at the front line as the monsters rush toward her. Ui asks if it's time to fight, but Lloyd says no. They trust him enough that even as the monsters get close enough to pounce on Silica, they don't disobey his word. When it's time, he casts enhancement magic on Silica and she unleashes her fireball. The fireball is enormous. It wipes out the monsters. Silica turns to ask what Lloyd did. Well, he had cast 3 spells at once. He asks her if she can manage 4 more fireballs before switching to wind magic. She says yes. So he moves to Cross, who is also waiting for his enhancement. Lloyd holds Cross and connects their consciousness mentally. He speaks to Cross through their minds and Cross hears him. He directs Cross's mind toward the monsters flying above the flames so Cross can strike the ones that try to escape the fire. Once Lloyd is done with Cross, he returns to Silica. He asks if she has the strength left to cast wind magic, but she admits she's running out of energy. Lloyd touches her and transfers his mana to her so much that she feels stronger while he's left exhausted. She apologizes for making him overdo it, but he brushes it off, blaming it on his usual weakness and lack of ability. Silica uses her renewed strength to cast the wind magic. She extinguishes the flames, but this time she's truly out of energy and completely spent. Before she collapses, her party members reassure her that they'll take care of the rest. Dagger and Yui step up to finish the fight. A few minutes later, the battle is done. Yui and Dagger return to the others. Yui thanks Lloyd for everything he did, but of course, Lloyd insists it wasn't a big deal. Yui, used to his low self-esteem, no longer bothers trying to argue with him. As she tries to rest, Lloyd tells them they have to return to the city. She complains that they're exhausted, but he explains that he believes all of this was orchestrated by Ishtak and that they've walked right into